Hey guys, how's it going? Quick update. The transplant did not come through. I was primary on the list. However, when the donor went on the operating table and they biopsied the kidney, it did not take. So it wasn't viable for a transplant. So therefore, it was canceled. Several days of waiting on standby. It's okay. I wasn't really letting it affect my life too much. Didn't have too much anxiety personally. I know a lot of folks get really excited when they get the call, even as a backup or different offers. I just go on and live my life and go about running my errands and having my appointments, taking mom to doctor's appointments and whatnot. Because if they call, right? If it happens, it happens. I'm not severely disappointed. I won't say that there aren't things that I thought about over the last few days in terms of would I potentially be able to recover in time for a job out of town that was coming up next year that I've already been made a tentative offer on? Would it be possible for me to go to Walt Disney World on my trips more often because I didn't have to take my dialysis equipment with me to Walt Disney World and plan that phase of it and then just sort of be out the parks and enjoy in the next 2 years with my annual pass that I wanted to do? And maybe some other travel in other places like a cruise to Hawaii for my mom and just getting back to work normal full time without having to worry about a dialysis schedule and things like that. So, yeah, definitely thought about it. The prospect of those things are good. It's positive for me to think about. It's natural for folks to think about. It's natural for folks to be anxious and be excited about offers or even being listed for transplants. But again, I typically live the life just sort of as things go. Take one thing at a time, not over worried, not over process things, good or bad. Obviously, folks know that sometimes with transplants there are complications. You're subject possibly to a repeat kidney failure. The kidney may not wake up. Some folks have complications with anti rejection meds or whatnot. So there are possibilities where even after a kidney transplant, you may not work, you may not feel well. In fact, some folks have expressed that they actually feel worse after a transplant. However, the majority of the folks do feel better after a transplant. So it's just something to think about for your folks, but I wanted to give you an update because then if I did go through a transplant, I just got my dialysis supplies that you see behind me for the month. There's quite a few cases on there, and then what am I going to do with all these cases of solution? And I have advice that I give to people on support groups in terms of how to dispose of the supplies. I'll make a more separate video in more detail about it. But basically, the solutions in the US are prescribed medication. So once you receive it as a patient from the delivery, you cannot legally transfer it or give it away unless your clinic wants to use it for training for other people or pay for the pickup with the suppliers. And if the supplier pick it up, they basically just dispose of it and trash of it and not reuse it anyways because it's illegal for them to do that. So the best way to get rid of all the extra solutions, if you no longer need it, if for example you are no longer doing peritoneal dialysis or have a transplant, the best way to dispose of it is actually just down the drain. You could open up the corner of the bag and it drains pretty quickly. I've done it for expired bags before. Some folks drain it and put it in their garden and have had good results with putting the solution in the garden and with the plants being fed the nutrition. Those are some possible options. And then there are also folks that have been able to donate it to nonprofit veterinary clinics where they use it sort of as a saline or cleaning solution for surgeries for pets. So those are possible options for you, but that gives you an idea of some of the things you can do with the extra supplies. And then obviously the mini caps and the connectors and different things that you no longer need, those are just general garbage supplies. Unfortunately, they cannot be transferred. Medications, if you have medications left over and you no longer need it, for example, post transplant, Yes, some of the meds are expensive. However, the proper way to dispose of it is check with your fire department, police department locally, also your local pharmacy, in terms of if they have a used medication disposal bin. So a lot of times they have bins at those locations that might be available where you could go in and just drop them off, and then they will properly dispose of them safely. You don't want to dump it down the drains. The medication, the pills, you don't want to dump those down the drain. It could contaminate the water. Animals and people could end up taking in the medication in different doses if you do that. So it's not safe to do that. Definitely try to find a proper disposal area locally or in your state that's available. So a lot of times you could Google different things. But if you need help finding different ways to dispose your supplies and medication, definitely comment below or be on one of our support groups. We have folks that can help research different places in your state locally to help you with those efforts. But yeah, just want to give you guys an update since I released the other video about having the call and sort of the up and down roller coaster process of waiting for transplant. Again, if you don't get it, it's not a big deal. It just means that there's something better that's going to be there for you later. So keep positive. Go on with your dialysis treatment. Stay healthy so you're ready for that next call. Okay, it could happen within days, it could happen within a week, it could happen a year from now. You never know because of the matching process. And there's a different video on a lot of the different factors that goes into the matching process. So the goal with transplant centers is always to make sure that they have the best kidney that's going to last the longest for you. So when those matches happen, they do want to scrutinize things, try to make the best situation for you as possible because they obviously don't want you to have kidney rejection down the line either. So thanks for joining me at Kidney Journey. Hope you like this content. Please click the thumbs up if you do. And if you're new to this channel, hit the subscribe button and ring the little bell to be notified of future content.